Congratulations, Helena, on your amazing new book called Joyful Economy.
Mm-hmm.
I was so happy that you wanted to share a little about your journey with this book. And before we go into it, I just want to share and say that you sent this book to me when it was just about to be published, and being very humble about it. Like, hey, it's just a little book, just a little something. And I sat down with my coffee to just skim a little, just have a little impression. And I couldn't put it down. And I was sitting from the start to the end. I read the book all through in one take, and I couldn't stop reading. And my heart was just so, glooming with recognition and resonance, and just a feeling of yes, this is so true and so beautiful. And I love the lightheartedness and the depth. At the same time, you're just a master in that energy of depth and lightheartedness at the same time. And the way you said and shared that wisdom about how money is energy was so powerful and so useful and so simply mesmerizing, that I'm so happy that you will also share a little more with us all. I just had to share my enthusiasm about this book, because it's not just a little something, it's a powerful book. So welcome, Helena.
Thank you so much. And I feel blessed by you reading the book and your recognition. It's such a wonderful gift when a child or a book is being born and someone lifts it the way you do, Eva. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. And maybe you can start by saying a little bit more about what this book is about. And then I would love to hear you read a little for us.
Okay, so maybe I should show the book. It's here.
Yes.
Well, I have shown it in the try, but this is physical. So so this book is about joyful economy, and my path has been and is to support as many as possible in bringing joy into all areas of our lives, and money is definitely an area where very few people feel joy. There are all kinds of other emotions and feelings, and good times and bad times, but it's not something that many people. I remember I mentioned the title for someone at some point, and she said, like, joy and economy, like what? Joy and money? It's like they don't belong together, but they absolutely can belong together. So I made a course about it, a video course about it, while I was still teaching and coaching full time, and now that it's all about writing, I'm turning my courses into books. So this is the book, and it's a tiny book, actually. It can be in your hand. It's 100 pages, and it's just the essence of things. There's no fluff. There's also no stories, but there are small contemplations. So there are like two parts to it. One part is the realizations or philosophy, some would call it, and the other part, the more important part, is the practices. And each part or chapter comes with a little contemplation, not poetry exactly, but poetic contemplation. And then there is some, the essence, and then there is like some key points that you can go back to. So we can like read it in one take, and then you can go back to it and do the practices. And then the third way to use it is that you can just open it randomly and see what the day brings, like in your story before, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, and it works beautifully, and it's so simple and beautiful and powerful at the same time, the way you have done this book. So thank you, Helena. Thank you for bringing it into the world as a book, because it's something else, right? Could you read a little for us, just to feel the book even more?
Just a little. So I did the random thing. And so this is from the first part that is about realization, and it's from the part that's called Understanding Money. Money shows us where we are on our journey in actuality and not just in our minds. It raises questions and it challenges that are important for us to encounter. It is an amazing transformational vehicle that often brings us first to crisis and then awakening and awareness. First difficulties and challenges, and then insights. Money can look like things, and it is energy, but it is also processes. It is a journey in itself. And one of the main goals of this Joyful Economy book is to connect that journey with your joy. In other words, to help you align the financial journey with your joyful nature.
Beautiful. Can you feel it, sisters? Put some hearts for Helena here. Yes. And can you hear her voice? I love your voice, Helena. It's so, it just cut through the bullshit.
Thank you. That's a really good compliment.
It's so clear. It's so good. Yeah. Sorry, my French.
No, but, that's good in this case, I think.
It cuts to the core and to the essence. So beautiful. And I love to see how people connect with you here and with what you're sharing. It's beautiful. Thank you, everyone, for receiving like this. And I think you'll all love this book. So, Helena, I wonder, did you meet any challenges or did you meet any unexpected feelings in the journey of making this into a book? Also after writing a pure poetry book, as you started out with, you know?
Yeah.
How has that felt and how has it been for you?
I definitely did. Thank you for asking. So it was a challenge because, you know, in itself, in the sense that after having coaching and teaching all my life, and having made that big step, saying to myself and aloud that now I'm all about poetry and fiction stories. I probably have a tendency to burn bridges a little bit and like say, you know, I'm done with the other parts. Not completely true, but something like that. And then there was this impulse to, you know, there is a legacy. There is some value here. So why not make it a book? And I've always had challenges with nonfiction. I never, you know, I like writing like a little bit on Facebook or something, but writing a nonfiction book it just never has been me. And so the first challenge was, how do I do that and stay true to myself at this time? And fortunately, there was the video course, so I pretty much just transcribed it from the video course, and then funny things started to come, because then there was this, it's almost a pity there isn't any poetry here. So then the contemplations came that I could add. And then there was another challenge which kind of, I'm not sure if I resolved it or not, but the other challenge was in terms of perfectionism, because I want to spend, and that is still true for me, I do want to spend my time now primarily on poetry and fiction and share the same message that I did in teaching and coaching, but through stories and poetry. And so there was like, how much time will I spend on working on this book? When do I stop? Because I could add stories to that, and I could work with it for a year. And it took some courage and also some embarrassment to say this is good enough. And I you call it humbleness, but there's not anymore. But just as I did, there was like a feeling of like, you know, I didn't make it perfect. So this is something that all of us as writers will encounter, like, when do I stop? Where is it good enough? Where do I invest my energy? And when I say, you know, fiction and poetry is primary, that's for me working. Doesn't mean that this is not an important book, or it's not an important message. It is the essence, and I live it, and I stand by it 100%. But it's just more like, what do I do at this time? What I do, that all kinds of choices we have to make as writers. So, right? So
it's super, super fascinating what you share here. I love it. I love your courage to listen to that. This was a book that wanted to be written. That was a legacy that wanted to be shared in a book. But also your courage to say, now it's good enough, and not let your ego, because it's the ego that sometimes comes in the way here with the perfectionism, right? I think we all have an artistic ego also that is like, and especially, I've heard so many writers say that when you have written an amazing book number one, and Love Songs, your first poetry collection, was like otherworldly, how to continue after that, and not let that sense of you have to over kind of that feeling of having to overgo yourself. I don't know if there's a word that is called overgo, but overgo.
Yeah.
I'm making a word up here. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
Surpass yourself somehow. But actually you have, because this is such a beautiful essence, and you're doing what is in alignment here. And yeah, so cheers to the courage and the boldness of writing this book that wanted to be written. And it's beautiful, it's powerful, it's everything. It's just not pure poetry, right?
No, it's not. There's one thing
there's lots of poetry in it. Anyways,
there's one more thing I actually want to if you have time to this, is it okay?
Yeah.
Because again, I think it's a collective challenge for all of us, and so this is why I want to share it. Is that it's also very much, as we often talk about in this tribe, about finding your voice, and also because in poetry, I feel I have found my voice. Of course, it will develop and change, but I feel I have found it. Now I'm also writing a novel, and then the whole thing starts like all over, like, what is my voice in the novel? It's not poetry. How do I express these things as stories? Where is the balance? And it was actually the same with this one. I realized, yes, I just transcribed it and then I made it this and this, but it was also about accepting that this is my voice, that other people write nonfiction in a different way. I've always been about like just writing the essence. I've never been about explaining. And with all explaining is necessary, I'm just not the voice for it. So this is also something for all of us to allow ourselves to have the expression we have and say, this is my expression, and then have the courage to say, yeah, this is it.
And now it's good enough. I love it. I think we should all write that with big letters, because we could continue forever before we release a book, if we wanted to, because a book is kind of a living thing, right?
Yeah.
But thank you for sharing this. It's very profound, and it's very useful, I think, and something that can inspire many writers here. Beautiful. Oh my God. I'm totally blanking out because I'm so sucked into the conversation.
Then I have one more thing to say. If you're blanking, if you want to create more time for this, because again, because we're in this tribe of writers, I think this book could be important for us for a specific reason, and that is that as writers, there are very few writers in our world that can make a living from writing alone. And therefore, most of us, if not all of us, will, if haven't already, have this thing like, I want to write, I want to spend all my time writing, but I don't have the money, but I have to pay bills. So there is this friction, and it feels like almost like opposites. Like part of me wants to write, but I don't get to do it because another part of me has to earn money. And then we have all these ideas about how to earn money. What this book is about also is about softening that. It's about stepping into our abundance and which is here and now and not just in the future, and becoming more and more aligned with it, and then allowing life to resolve the challenge and allowing ourselves to resolve the challenge, because there's one abundance and we are that abundance, and our work is to open to it, and then there can be countless ways of bringing money into our life that we couldn't even imagine. And I'm sure most of us have had experiences here and there of money coming in different ways. And maybe it comes through a book, or maybe it comes through something else we love, or maybe, but it is really important for us as writers to work with our relationship to money, because by definition in the word, it's almost defined as a conflict, and it doesn't have to be. That was the speech.
That was amazing. Thank you. That was a beautiful channeling. Yeah, I love that. Helena, amen. So true. So true. Because there's a surrender in the calling to write. There's a surrender to trust that I meet that with, I feel, everyone I'm also mentoring about book writing, that there's, and I have done it myself. There's a surrender to saying yes to that calling and trusting and allowing the channels to open. And it can be through the books, but it can also often be through other soul work that goes together with the book somehow. So thank you for that speech. That was an amazing, that was amazing, like a message from Spirit, I feel, to everyone here, to really trust and open up and allow. So get that book, everyone, and enjoy it. You must share with us where we can get the book. Helena, do you have a link?